This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites, like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies, like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee for your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 per order. Additional terms apply.
Hello and welcome to the Al-Monitor Brief. It's April 2nd. I'm Kristen Tallman. Today's main interview will be with Adam Lucente, Al-Monitor's news and business correspondent, on his exclusive interview with the Palestinian ambassador to the UN. For now, let's get you caught up on the headlines. A U.S.-based charity, World Central Kitchen, blamed Israel on Tuesday for a strike that killed 7 of its staff unloading food brought to the war-torn Gaza Strip. The group said it was pausing operations after the targeted Israeli strike. The strike killed Australian, British, Palestinian, Polish, and U.S. Canadian employees on Monday. The Israeli military vowed to hold an investigation and share its findings. The U.S. National Security spokesperson Adrian Watson said on X that they were heartbroken, stressing that relief workers must be protected as they deliver aid that is desperately needed. In Syria, a commander in Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps was killed in a suspected Israeli strike on Monday, marking another escalation in the Israel-Iran regional conflict. U.S. troops stationed at a remote base on Syria's border with Iraq shot down a one-way drone on Monday afternoon. Al-Monitor's Pentagon correspondent Jared Suzba reports. This marks what appeared to be the first attempted attack by a suspected Iran-backed militia in nearly 2 months. Over in Egypt, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was sworn in Tuesday for his 3rd term as leader of the Arab world's most populous nation. In power for the past decade, the 69-year-old former army chief is set to remain president until 2030. Now on to Adam for his interview. Hey, Adam, welcome to the Al-Monitor Brief.
Thanks for having me.
So for our listeners, Adam is Al-Monitor's news and business correspondent, and last week he landed a pretty big interview with the Palestinian ambassador to the UN. Adam, fill us in on what the ambassador said, the mood at the UN, and what we should be looking out for.
So the mood at the UN was, obviously the war is a difficult situation, but it was somewhat upbeat in terms of the future. He said that the Palestinians are popular at the UN right now, and he was happy with the UN Security Council passing a resolution recently calling for a ceasefire in the war. But the main piece of news from the interview was that Ambassador Mansour said that this month in April, the state of Palestine will ask the Security Council for full membership in the United Nations, meaning a change from their permanent observer status that they currently have right now.
Okay. And so if I understand correctly, there's only 2 entities with this permanent observer status, Palestine and the Vatican. So them getting full UN membership would be a vast change, correct?
Yeah, exactly. It's only the Vatican and the state of Palestine right now. The state of Palestine has had that observer status since 2012, so for a long time. So that would definitely be a big change in terms of how Palestine is able to conduct itself at the UN. Basically, as an observer state, they can participate in meetings and they can maintain a presence at the UN headquarters. I interviewed the ambassador in the UN headquarters in New York, but they can't vote on anything. So full membership would just kind of further their ultimate quest towards statehood.
Okay, got it. And why are they pursuing this now?
I mean, part of it is like there's been more momentum, the ceasefire resolution passed. Obviously, the war in Gaza has created urgency for the Palestinians and everyone in the region. And the ambassador told us that they are pursuing the full membership at the UN because they want to send a message that Israel will not decide whether there is a Palestinian state. They want to send a message that, the Palestinian people and their representatives, they will decide when there will be a Palestinian state. So it's partly symbolic, partly practical, and definitely related to the current situation with the Gaza war.
Okay, and the Palestinian leadership seems to have faced some challenges over the past couple of months in terms of uniting under common causes. What does this say about Mansour's leadership at the UN and the Palestinian cause at the UN?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty in Palestinian politics. I mean, the Palestinian Authority's government in the West Bank resigned a few weeks ago. A new government has now been named. There's uncertainty around the unity talks between Fattah and Hamas and the other Palestinian factions. But at the United Nations, the state of Palestine has had some success recently. I mean, they're now moving towards this full membership bid, which needs to pass the Security Council, which is, a huge obstacle because the U.S. could veto anything, and there's 4 other countries that have veto power. But still, the Security Council did recently pass a resolution calling for a ceasefire in the conflict, also calling for the release of the hostages held by Hamas and more aid into Gaza. And several similar past resolutions failed because of U.S. veto. So just getting this resolution passed was a big accomplishment for the state of Palestine at the United Nations. So there is some, momentum and some, limited success that they are having at the UN recently.
And I mean, this was quite a big get on your part to have an exclusive where the ambassador says that Palestine is going to bid for full UN membership this month. But is the likelihood that they bid for a membership and then at the end of the month we see it put in place, or you think it will take longer than 30 days?
No, I imagine this will take longer, and it could take not in the near future. But the ambassador told us in the interview he's hoping that more countries around the world will recognize a Palestinian state, and he hopes that will build momentum for the Security Council ultimately approving the Palestinian state as a full member. And he said that their Palestinian diplomats, they're currently focusing on Western Europe, trying to get more countries in Western Europe to recognize a Palestinian state in relation to this effort at the UN to become a full member.
Adam, thanks so much for joining and giving us the latest update.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. You can read all these stories and more at almonitor.com.